Hello, and welcome to Your Health Matters. My name is Dr. Peter Hogenkamp, and I wanted to start today by thanking you for tuning in, whether that's on PEG TV, the PEG TV YouTube channel, or my own YouTube channel, which is Your Health Matters with Dr. Peter Hogenkamp. If you like the show, share the video on social media or send it by email to a friend. Very much appreciate you spreading the word when it comes to good health. So, today's episode is very timely. As the holidays approach, I was thinking about making a holiday-themed show. And so today we have 7 ways to make your holidays happy and healthy. So the first thing I wanted to do was to explain why this is important. Because the holidays are obviously sentinel events in many people's lives, but you have to keep in mind that there are a lot of negative health outcomes associated with the holidays. Number one, holidays are associated with increased rates of depression. They're associated with increased rates of cardiac events. The holidays are associated with increased mortality, both cardiac and non-cardiac mortality. And there's certainly increased anxiety, increased stress. Some people just don't like the holidays for these reasons. And other people like the holidays, but they're glad they're over. So I wanted to focus and give you some tips today on how to make your holidays not only happy, but healthy. And keep in mind that those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. We're going to start off today early in the holiday season, especially if you're watching it early in the holiday season, and talking about tip number 1, which is don't make extra stress for yourself. I've always said in my practice that there's 2 types of stress. There's unavoidable stress and there's avoidable stress. Examples of unavoidable stress are like, a car accident or a death in the family or something like that. Something you just can't, plan, or these things just happen. They happen to everybody. But avoidable stress is the type of stress that you create for yourself. And I'm asking you not to create it, because the holidays is a classic time where people create stress for themselves. For instance, they schedule too many parties. They schedule a cookie swap, and they spend 3 days making the perfect cookies. They buy too many presents for people. They want everything to be perfect, like they see on A Christmas Carol or other holiday movies. And as a consequence, in trying to achieve that perfection, they create a tremendous amount of stress for yourself. So I'm simply asking you not to do that. Keep your holiday planning simple. Keep it achievable. Don't make 3 parties a week kind of thing. Focus on what's important kind of thing. So that leads us. So this trying to avoid avoidable stress. Not creating avoidable stress leads me to point 2, and that is don't overspend. It's been said that the most significant end product of the holidays is debt. And I'm going to repeat that for emphasis. The most significant end product of the holidays is debt. Many people know, and I have many people complain to me about the commercialism of the holidays. You can't turn on the TV set or open up the paper or listen to the radio without some type of example about how you're supposed to be involved, participating in this huge commercialism that we have created, that has kind of almost become the identity of the holidays. And I'm telling you not to do it, because debt is something that sticks with you like bad luggage. It stays. And there are a lot of negative health outcomes to debt. Obviously, it's a source of great unhappiness for people. It's a source of great stress. So before you go and create debt for yourself, just think about a couple different things. Number 1 is make a budget for your holiday spending and stick to it. I mean, I think a lot of people like the idea of budgets. I think the problem with budgets is that people don't stick to them. If you've got $100 to spend on someone for a present, don't spend 150, because you're going to be paying for that all the rest of the year, and that debt drags you down. The second tip that I have is to spend time, not money. As I look back on my holiday experiences when I was young, I think back about all the time that I would spend with my cousins and family members, my brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles. I don't think about the presents I got or the sweaters I got, that kind of thing. I think about the time that we had, the events, the parties that I went to, the Christmas walks I did with my mom. So if you want to spend during the holidays, go spend some time with your grandmother, bake some pies with her. Go see a cousin that you haven't seen for a while. Go out to dinner or have a couple of drinks, kind of thing. Spend time, not money. The third tip for making your holidays happy and healthy is not to overeat. We're all familiar with the whole idea of holiday weight gain. And in preparation for the show, I was doing some research on it. And it's interesting because some of the studies, most of the studies show somewhere between a 1 and 2 pound weight gain during the holiday season. Now, while you might not think that's too significant, I want you to keep two things in mind. The first thing is that people who are lean tend not to gain any weight at all, and people who are heavier tend to gain more weight. So when you average them together, that 1 to 2 pound weight gain, it is as many as 2 to 4 pounds or even more for people who are heavier, and those are the people who can least afford to gain the weight. If you think 4 pounds doesn't matter, think about 1 decade time, and as I approach my 60th birthday, a decade doesn't really seem to me all that long period of time. It goes quick, as we all know. And 1 decade times 4 pounds a year is 40 pounds. And there is a significant deleterious health outcome to you for gaining 40 pounds. And that's just for the holiday season. So the holiday weight gain concept is very real. And I want to talk about how we can avoid it. Because it's one thing to say, well, don't do it. And it's another thing to actually give you some good tips on how not to do it. And one of my favorite tricks that I use for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for all the parties that I go to is I try to fill up on low-calorie stuff. And so what does that mean? A buddy of mine has me over for dinner every month or so, and he's a wonderful cook. He also likes to put out these huge trays of appetizers. And so what I do when he's not looking is I fill up on celery. He always puts celery, radishes, carrots out there. And instead of, I'll grab a pastrami or a piece of salami or pepperoni when he's looking, because he will look and he will watch to make sure you're eating it. I also then eat the carrots. So you're filling up your stomach. You're using up some of that stomach space for things that are good for you that have low calorie density. Carrots, celery, as I mentioned, peppers. Number 2 is when I go to eat, the first thing that I do is I eat a big bowl of salad. Or if you're at a party where there isn't a salad, vegetables. Fill up on low calorie stuff because you only have so much room in your stomach. If you are filling up that room with lower foods that have lower calorie density, you're going to be much better off in the end. The third thing is to make sure you grab a big glass of water when you get to one of these parties or these dinners, and be drinking water the whole time. Water fills you up, and it's a great way of limiting the amount of stomach space you have and preventing you from filling up on pepperoni or apple pie or all the carbohydrates that are associated with the holidays, like breads, cookies, mashed potatoes, whatever you have for Christmas dinner. I guarantee you that there's a surplus of carbohydrates that you can eat, and those are the things that are really fill you up, that really provide you with too many calories. For those of you who watched the program before, you know that I'm a low carbohydrate aficionado. I strongly believe in the health benefits of eating low carbohydrate diets. One last thing, and this was a good point someone else made to me recently, and they were talking about one of the ways they gain weight during the holidays is because they do a lot of travel. As a consequence of the travel, they're stopping in fast food restaurants instead of eating their normal fare. And they're like, well, you know, we were traveling here to there, we just had to stop and get something, so we went to McDonald's and that kind of thing. As I thought about it, McDonald's, the only time of the year I even go to McDonald's is when we travel. We go to my wife's family's house, we stop midway, we stop at McDonald's. I hate to say this, but I kind of look forward to the Big Mac because it's probably one of the 2 times a year that I have one. But if you're eating fast food all the time, especially during the holidays, you know, bring healthy snacks instead. Instead of going to McDonald's, you know, prepare some healthier snacks for you. My wife does a great job with this. She oftentimes brings some, you know, nuts or, you know, carrot sticks along for our trips, so that rather than fill up at these high calorie density places like fast food, she fills up with her healthy snacks. Point number 4 is exercise, exercise, exercise. If you want to make your holidays happy and healthy, spend some extra time exercising. Why? Well, we talked about the weight business and the holiday weight gain. One of the best ways to avoid holiday weight gain is to exercise more. We all know that you are going to be eating more calories during the holiday period. It's simply going to happen. As we talked about, there are ways you can limit that, but even in the best of circumstances, you're going to be eating more. So, exercise more. We remember that weight maintenance is a very simple mathematical formula. It's calories consumed minus calories burned, and that if that's a positive number, you gain weight. If that's a negative number, you lose weight. It's that simple. So, if we know we are going to be eating more, let's also exercise more. People have more time around the holidays. Oftentimes people take vacation, there are national holidays. Use that extra time to exercise. Not only will it help you prevent holiday weight gain, but exercise, as I've mentioned many times before, is the best natural way to reduce anxiety and stress. I can't tell you the number of times where I have felt kind of like itchy or kind of bottled up, and I can just see my wife pointing to the door, and she wants me to go take a walk. And I do. And I go take a long walk. When I get home, it's all gone. It's all melted away. I'm jovial again. It really works. If you'd like to know the scientific basis of this, there is one. Exercise increases the cerebral production of endorphins and enkephalins. And these are naturally produced compounds that improve your mood, decrease pain. They actually give you a sense of euphoria. They're naturally produced. The body produces them normally. And that's one of the reasons why people who exercise all the time, they're almost addicted to exercise. It's because their body gets used to all these endorphins and enkephalins that are produced. Especially important around the holidays, when holiday stress and holiday anxiety and the holiday blues can really add up. So one of the best ways to combat that, exercise. You should do your exercise outdoors, because the outdoors, I mean, obviously if you have to exercise indoors, you know, that's wonderful. But when you combine exercise with being outdoors, being outdoors, fresh air is a natural stress relief. I did a program last year about the health benefits of being outdoors. If you're interested in that, you can go back to either my YouTube channel, Your Health Matters with Dr. Peter Hogenkamp, or the PEG TV YouTube channel and look at that program. It's very, very interesting how there are just benefits to being outdoors. And it's especially important over the holiday period when the holiday stress, which is very real, kind of adds up. The people use the expression holiday blues. That expression exists for a reason, because it's a real phenomenon. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is this, and I call it the get back on the horse phenomenon. So you're leading a healthy lifestyle, but you fall off the horse during the holiday period. It happens to many people, including myself. The important thing is January 2nd, get right back on the horse. I can't tell you the number of times people come into my office and they'll tell me that, oh, I was doing great until the holidays, and then I fell off the wagon, and they just don't get back on the wagon. They just don't. And that continues. So whereas a 4-pound weight loss becomes, or a weight gain rather, becomes a 40-pound weight gain. And so my tip for you is to get back on the horse. As soon as you fall off, January 2nd, get right back on it. Because that 4-pound weight gain, if you get back into your normal routine of healthy choices, all of a sudden that weight is gone. The last thing I wanted to say about exercise is, in addition to helping with your weight, it also improves your mood. It's a great way to deal with holiday stress. But you don't have to make exercise over-involved. You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to purchase a treadmill or get a gym membership. You can lace on your sneakers or your boots and go for a walk. I am a big walker myself, and obviously that flavors my opinion about walking. But one of the things I love about walking is that, with some health exceptions, people can do it. You can do it 365 days a year. You don't need to buy anything. All you need is time and a pair of sneakers. I'm a cold weather walker. You walk, you burn calories, you stay warm. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if it's cold. Just get outside and do it. Again, you can go on a treadmill. That's also helpful. But, I tell people you've got to be an all-weather, 365 day person. Just get out and go. A Gore-Tex jacket is a great investment. Okay. Tip number 5 on how to keep your holidays happy and healthy is to involve some type of spiritual component to your holidays. And I think when I say spiritual component, people right off the bat are going to assume I mean religious. And that doesn't necessarily, spiritual doesn't mean religious. It can mean religious. And as a religious person, I'm certainly not against any religious involvement. In fact, I'm for it. But even if you're not religious or don't have any religious affiliation or don't practice any kind of official religion, you can be spiritual. And I think spirituality is a great way to enrich your holiday experience. So what is spirituality? I've talked about this before. I've got a future episode to talk about just the health benefits of spirituality. But spirituality is the recognition that there is something greater than yourself, that there's more to being human than just our day-to-day sensory experiences, that we're part of a greater whole, not just our individual selves. One of my favorite things about the holidays is giving. We've all heard the expression, it's better to give than receive, and it's so true. I mean, I think as I look back on some holidays, sometimes I had a really great gift to give somebody, and I just, it was so wonderful to see how much they loved it, how much they appreciated it. And not only giving gifts to people that you know, but giving gifts to people that you don't. Here in the Rutland community, we have a lot of ways to do that, and I applaud the community for being very generous, very, very generous to Stuff-A-Bus, to blood drives, things like that. A blood drive is going to a blood drive is an example of somebody who's getting involved spiritually, because you're realizing that it's not just you. There are other people that need blood. That's a spiritual endeavor. You may not think of it that way, but the way I look at spirituality, it is. So the whole idea of altruism, people tend to donate during the holidays. These are great things. You're thinking about other people, and when you give, I always tell people the person when you give something, the person that's gaining the most is you. So religious services. I encourage people to take part in religious services. If they don't, they can be spiritual in other ways, as I've talked about. But one of the things about religious services is they're great spiritual events because not only, is there the religious aspect, but there's the community aspect. Participating in any type of community is a spiritual event. And so, obviously these religious services or religious face, they involve community, and that's such a wonderful way to be spiritual. Meditation is a great way to be spiritual. Mindfulness. Take some time during these busy holiday periods to practice yoga, to meditate, to practice mindfulness. These things are wonderful, and I think that they kind of take you away from the emptiness that some people can feel during the holiday season. My father, he always used to have a hard time during the holidays because he hated the crass commercialism, and he really felt like people had forgotten what Christmas was all about, kind of thing. He did always try to do, to make the holidays a spiritual place. We went to religious services. We got together with family. We did things for people in our neighborhood. And if you don't have the money to donate, you can just spend time with people. Go a neighbor that isn't getting out, go have a cup of coffee with her. These are the type of things that make your holiday meaningful. I think they add a lot to your holiday experience, and they really help you avoid the kind of emptiness that can pervade you during the holiday season. My last thing about spirituality is creativity, and that is be creative. As many of you know, I write, and writing is a big part of my life. I really feel like writing is a spiritual event for me because it makes me think about, as I say, anything that brings you away from yourself, and you're thinking about other things, other people, yourself in relation to your role in the cosmos. That's a spiritual event. Journaling, blogging. These are actually both creative and spiritual events. And I think if it's one of the great things about blogging is I'll pick a blogging topic sometimes and I'll just say, all right, I haven't thought much about this. And I'll sit there and think about it. And it's just a great experience in self-awareness and self-identity. That one of the great things about writing, I think, is you're really discovering who you are. And discovering who you are is always something that makes you a more spiritual person. And keep in mind now that there is health benefits to being spiritual. Number one, people who are spiritual always identify themselves as having higher well-being than people who aren't spiritual. There is a direct relationship between spirituality and the sense of well-being. There's something we measure in medicine. We call it the health-related quality of life. And this is probably where you see the effect of spirituality more than anything else. People who are spiritual always self-report a higher health-related quality of life than people who aren't. It's been proven that people who are spiritual recover more quickly from illness, and there is no doubt that spirituality is related to improved mental health. I see the time ticking away from me, as it always does, and so I wanted to go to point number 6, and that is easy on the eggnog. We all know that the holidays, in addition to being associated with eating more, we drink more. I have several patients who are alcohol salesmen, and they have told me many times that their busiest time of the year are the holidays. We drink more as a society during the holidays. It's for sure true. Now, I have always said that I talk about the healthy use of alcohol a lot in my practice. Because number one, I see a lot of unhealthy use of alcohol, and I try to kind of counsel people on how can we use alcohol in a healthy fashion. And so, one of the things I always say is you should use alcohol to celebrate something, celebrating a wedding, an engagement, celebrate the holidays, celebrate a birthday, celebrate a long week at work. Kidding. And so this is then naturally, the holidays are a great time of year, or a natural time of year for people to drink more alcohol because we're celebrating something. But it can easily become too much. It can be overdone. And keep in mind now that too much alcohol raises your blood pressure. It increases the risk of cardiac events. It adds weight on. Alcohol, especially too much alcohol, ruins your sleep. All these things affect your health and your health-related quality of life, as I talked about. So, how can we prevent this from happening? Well, number one, we talked about scheduling and planning earlier when I was encouraging you not to plan too much so that we can not so we can get rid of avoidable stress. So when you're scheduling your party schedule over the holidays, keep it down to a dull roar. 1 or 2 parties a week kind of thing. So if you're going to a holiday party or event or dinner every day, you are setting yourself up to drink too much. Number 2 is, at each event, drink less. I tell people, 1 or 2 drinks is really a good rule for an event, a party, a dinner, a luncheon, whatever. If you go beyond 2 drinks, you're going to start to see some of these negative health consequences I talked about. I had a patient one time that came in January sometime, and I asked how things were going, and he goes, I got drunk at the office Christmas party, I hit on the boss's wife, and I got fired. So that's a bit of an extreme example, but the point is, too much alcohol can lead to bad decision making, and in fact often does, or usually does lead to bad decision making. And these things can really worsen our lives. These things actually happen. People drink too much at a holiday party, get a DWI, they get into a car accident. So we have to be very, very careful about this. If we discipline ourselves to have, to be easy on the eggnog, as I mentioned, 1 to 2 drinks per party, that's great. So one way I like to do that is to always have double fist. And by double fist, I mean a big glass of water along with something else. If you got a big glass of water there, so sometimes people just drink by habit. They're just constantly drinking by habit, or maybe they're thirsty or they want to wash down their food. Keep a big glass of water there. It's a great idea. Number 2 is be cognizant of what you're drinking. If we see a lot of hard liquor sales go way up during the holidays, careful now, because 1.5 ounces of hard liquor is equivalent to 1 beer, and it's a lot less volume. So keep those things in mind. Point number 7, I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions. And the reason I wanted to talk about them is because most people abandon their New Year's resolutions by the 2nd week of January. And by doing that, it contributes to a sense of failure, worsening self-esteem. So don't make a New Year's resolution if you're not going to follow through. That said, I would like you to make a New Year's resolution. I would like you to make a healthy New Year's resolution, but I want you to do one that's modest, that's doable, it's achievable. So instead of saying, I'm going to lose 40 pounds, or I'm going to lose 5 pounds a week, say to yourself, I'm going to lose 1 pound a week, which is what I recommend for people anyway. If you lose 1 pound a week and you keep to it, you're going to lose 50 pounds in a year, which is going to be a massive improvement in your health. Rather than say you're going to run a marathon, say you're going to go walk 2 miles a day. We all have a pair of sneakers. We all have a pair of boots. We can lace them on and go for 2 miles a day. I would encourage you after a while, once you're doing that, to increase that, but start with something that's achievable. The last thing I'm going to mention is New Year's resolution. As an author, I feel like I'm obliged to say it, and that is read. But don't say you're going to read 52 books a year. I mean, there are a lot of people that do. There are some people that read more than that. But say you're going to read a book a month. Start reading. Educate yourself. Inform yourself. That's a really important thing as well. I want to thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any comments about the program, if you have ideas for new shows, or topics you want to learn about, please give them to me. I've had people mention them to me, and I've used those as topics. Always great to hear from you. Thanks again, and have a wonderful, happy, and healthy holiday season.